So would we recommend Earwig and the Witch to anybody, gang?
3, 2, 1.
Now then, let's you and I get a few things straight. My name is Bella Yaga. I'm a witch.
Great!
No.
Hello everybody, I'm Hal.
I'm Pax.
And this is Brotakus, the show where two guys who love anime do a deep dive on what is and isn't worth watching. We believe you don't need a major in anime studies to enjoy this wild, beautiful, and strange art form, and we're lucky to have you on this journey with us.
And Hal, who's that wild and beautiful, strange creature to your right?
Oh my goodness, who is this? I had no idea someone was sitting there. So this, actually, is my babe, my lovely girlfriend. She is a beautiful actress slash singer slash dancer slash all-around badass from the Hudson Valley. And her name is Julia Kerr. Julia, introduce yourself. How are you today?
I am good. Thanks for having me on your show, guys. I'm really excited to be here.
Absolutely. We've been planning this for a little while. For those of you watching, Julia has been super supportive of the show and super into Brotakus and what we're putting out. We wouldn't have the show be the wonderful monolith of greatness that it is today without her never-ending support. And,
the ultra-popular monolith, yes.
Yes.
We truly stand as gods among giants and giants among men among ants,
right.
bigger thing among smaller thing. Fuck you, IGN Anime Club. Eat my dick. God, this is not good. In case we ever collab with these people, this is not a good precedent to set.
So everyone, for those of you watching today, Pax and I have had sort of a few busy days of different anime watching. You know, we've watched like 3 different shows in the last 2 weeks. I don't know.
Like that's a busy day. Is like, we come home from the anime factory and sit down, watch some anime, finish with a little bit of anime. And then if we're not tuckered off, we can fit
a little anime in there.
We can fit a little anime in there. And if we need to tuck ourselves up before we go to bed, we still have too much energy. A little bit of hentai, go to sleep. Sweet angel, close your eyes, drift off into the never
happy
land.
Ending to an anime-filled day. So, speaking of happy endings and lack thereof, at least, we watched a new film recently. This film came out, within the last couple weeks, didn't it, Pax?
It did. So,
you okay?
Gain up just a little bit. I was trying to think, do I type this or do I say it?
Gain up just a little bit. Can you hear me a little better now?
Yeah. Perfect.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. For those of you watching, we are currently trying a new setup. We're working on some technical difficulties here and there, and we're trying something new with this video. So,
yeah. You know what? I'm just gonna cut it all out. No one will ever notice. I'm just trying to think of already post things. But anyway, I'll bring us back in. I'm so sorry for making that awkward. I should have just approached that.
No, you're good.
Poor sportsmanship.
No.
There is a new Studio Ghibli movie out. Really quick, just as another plug, because it's a new thing, we have video podcasts now. And so I'm currently cosplaying as the main character from the movie we're watching today. Oh, when it's up here, it's like very spot on. I have my hair in some... How would you describe this, Julia?
The first thing that came to mind for me were reindeer antlers.
Reindeer antlers. Good. That's exactly how you would just...
You ever see the game Rayman?
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking Rayman.
Hell yeah. So the reindeer antler possessing individual in this case is the titular character of the new Studio Ghibli movie Earwig and the Witch. Earwig and the Witch. So it is dropped on HBO Max. It's not in theaters, but this is a huge cultural moment. Every time there's a new Studio Ghibli, it causes, a little earthquake in the culture because they're so damn good. Hal, what's your favorite Ghibli?
My favorite, it's hard. I really, really, really love Princess Mononoke.
Yeah, no, it's really, really good.
I think that one's hype as hell. But I also really liked Castle in the Sky. I thought Castle in the Sky was super duper cute. And Yeah, I guess those would be my top favorite. What about you, Julia?
So I actually started watching Studio Ghibli films pretty early. Spirited Away was like one of my first memories of a film that I watched. And so Spirited Away has like a very special place in my heart. I love the film. I love Studio Ghibli, period.
Awesome.
Yeah, what about you, Pax? Which one's your favorite?
My favorite is Earwig and the Witch, of course.
Hearing?
My favorite.
What are you hearing?
Oh, I think there's like snow blowing going on outside. Oh yeah, there we go. Oh, my car's getting blasted. All right, keep up the good work, homie. But my favorite is without a doubt Earwig and the Witch, because
Right.
it's the best. It's the best
so
Studio
good.
Ghibli movie. Well,
Yeah.
so
Clearly.
a lot of people
Clearly.
say things like, and I wasn't expecting great things because this is not when you think Studio Ghibli, you usually think Hayao Miyazaki, who is one of the co-owner creators of the thing and it, like directs all their best movies. There are some other people who have directed for it here and there, but traditionally you think Ghibli, you think Miyazaki, known as the Disney of Japan.
Right.
However, his son, Goro Miyazaki, has directed 2 films before this. One was storyboarded with his father called Up on Poppy Hill. It was actually pretty good. The other one, though, is the only movie that I've ever like fallen asleep like immediately at. And it's called Tales of Earthsea. And it's the pacing.
Which is funny. It's actually on my list on
cursed.
HBO, so I'm excited you're saying it. It's cursed?
Yeah, good luck. The pacing is cursed. But yeah. And so that's kind of a hallmark. I'm sorry, I know that my internet's kind of kicking out a little bit. I'm going to continue and I'll make another little cut there. Yeah, the pacing is absolutely cursed. And that's kind of a hallmark of Goro's films until Earwig and the Witch, which is the first 3D full-length thing that Studio Ghibli has produced. It's dabbled in it before. They released a little limited web series that Goro directed, or it aired in TV in Japan. It's called like a... So Ranma, the thief's daughter, it's something about like a bandit family. But they also collaborated with a studio to create the Ni no Kuni games. If you've ever played Ni no Kuni, Wrath of the White Witch, there's Ni no Kuni 1 and 2, and they're really, really fun games. And those have Ghibli designs, but I think the 3D work is done by a game studio that knew what they were doing. So it was like a really pleasant time. Right. Whereas Earwig and the Witch, it's better than I even could have imagined. I thought I knew what 3D animation was from some of my classic favorites like Paw Patrol and the Netflix original series Popples. Normally animations for toddlers, but this just blew them out of the water, making choices even they would never choose to make with the animation. It's truly astounding. And people talk about Goro's strained relationship with his father, saying that his father's kind of disappointed because he keeps serving as essentially a windmill that produces feces instead of electricity. But I actually think that the studio's in good hands when Miyazaki finally has his heart explode or something. I think Hayao really has it all together. Are we all in agreement here, bro?
No, absolutely not. No, I'm gonna disagree with you, Pax. Because I feel like I'm being negged harder than I've ever been negged in my entire life. This movie was horrible. It was awful. It was the worst movie that I have ever seen.
We hated it.
We hated it so much that we actually talked to each other out loud throughout the entire film, which is something I do anyway. I'm actually horrible.
We're actually
to watch movies
passionate about how much we hate it.
Yeah, it actually made me angry. I went to bed upset after watching that film.
You guys don't mean that. You guys don't mean that. It's so good.
Yeah, we definitely mean that.
It lacked everything that makes a Studio Ghibli film incredible. It lacked every single part of it.
Yeah, there was something about the whole film that I just absolutely hated, and
the characters,
and
we hated that.
The animation
and the plot, we hated that.
Yeah, and the
you guys are actually insane, and you love it, and I'm going to explain why.
Yeah,
you've
please.
seen Kiki's delivery service, right, Hal?
Love it.
Okay, so Julia, it seems as if you've just said that this lacked everything that makes a Miyazaki movie great, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay, interesting. Well, then how come there's a female protagonist. How come that? Oh, isn't that something that makes it special? Oh, and also a witch female protagonist exists in Kiki's delivery service, and a black cat is in Kiki's delivery service, and it has magic in Howl's Moving Castle, and it takes place in England like Howl's Moving Castle, and so your
these are good
logic is
points.
not making sense to me.
Right. Well, here's the thing. Here's my counterpoint. Tell me, Pax, do you like Coca-Cola?
For the sake of argument, I'll say I fucking love it. I can't get enough.
Have you ever had Dr. Thunder?
I have had Dr. Thunder, yes.
Okay. Would you say that those two are both comparable and one does not taste like Coca-Cola with garlic?
Well, no, and I'm gonna own you with facts and logic here because Dr. Thunder is
Fred Shapiro.
Because actually Dr. Thunder is a general store brand of Dr. Pepper. You ignorant lib.
Fuck me
Get
in the
owned.
ass.
It's not Coca-Cola. It's Dr. Pepper.
I'm gonna get shot.
And so, as I've slain you again,
argument. Yes. Now I need to pick myself up off the floor.
As I've slain you again with my logic blade, we see that Earwig and the Witch is currently at a 32% rotten rating on Rotten Tomatoes.
Okay.
Which, some people don't get it, and that's fair. Some people don't get it.
Art is subjective.
Yeah, and that's the thing. You're going to listen to a bunch of college liberal arts educated reviewers and critics for the AV Club, or are you going to listen to me, someone who has literally done thousands of whippets and had a great time, and whose brain is just like a nice warm bowl of pink oatmeal? They can really see through the genius of this. My brain is like all the slime physics in Earwig right now. So
like the worms.
Yeah, well, like the worms. So actually, I think that
weren't
is
explained. The worms were never explained.
No. They were. I'm sure they were. Maybe
it was a metaphor for how sometimes there's worms.
So Pax, what I'm hearing, if you would just do me a favor here, and walk the two of us and everyone watching through the incredible labyrinth of genius that was Earwig and the Witch. If you could just give us a little guided tour through the movie, we would love that. Be our Willy Wonka through the chocolate factory.
Yeah, for sure. So Earwig and the Witch is a story in which we open on a epic car chase through the streets of England that is animated worse than anything you've ever seen. On purpose.
Yes.
On purpose. Goro knew what he was doing because he knew that compared to the beginning, the rest of the movie would be perfection. It's like John Wick Parabellum levels of just gorgeous.
Yeah,
they did it.
except it's like instead of handing someone their appetizer, you punch them in the teeth. And then you hand them an entree. That's not.
Well, and so just because Hal thinks that, trauma can't build character and you never learn from upsetting instances doesn't mean that that's not the case. So as we're ducking and diving in a way that feels like the camera is being held by someone with arthritis, even though it's a 3D camera that should be able to do all sorts of cool things. And as you're going down at this insane high-speed chase that looks like it's taking place at about 35 miles per hour down this sleepy road, you see that there's this woman with hair that looks like it's made out of red Play-Doh that's been squeezed through one of those spaghetti makers. And as she is puttering along the street really slowly, she's going in and out of traffic very calmly, and a car comes up behind her. And see, it's like a yellow taxi, but oh my God, its mouth opens up a little bit, and in a way that could have been done really coolly in 2D animation, but just instead looks like somebody with prostate cancer trying to spread themselves for a colonoscopy. A bunch of little teeth come out and a little tongue. It's like, I'm an evil car. And the woman takes care of the evil car. How, Julia? Through the most amazing thing. Julia, please describe it for the audience.
She takes out a piece of her hair, right, if I'm remembering correctly, and she lets it go behind her, and I don't even know what it does. Does it take over the car?
So what we see as the audience is we see the hair float through the air. As it floats, it gets sprinkled with all this magic color stuff, and then it hits the windshield as a mass of worms that gradually engulfs the windshield, which we can assume is blinding the driver and rendering the car inert.
And you might think, well, it looks like this car is driving itself because I don't even know if anyone's in it. Plus, it seems to be a self-driving magic car, so why does having some earthworms on the windshield do it? It's fucking magic, dude. Because it's their magic. fucking earthworms, you dumb asshole. Hello, it's clearly magic. So, unfortunately, the 73% of people on Rotten Tomatoes can't figure out basics. They just don't see it. They
don't
can't
have
see
an
it.
imagination.
Yeah, but so this woman then she has a little bundle, and it's like, wow, this sure does seem almost identical to the original Harry Potter series of someone leaving a child on a doorstep, but it's different. It's completely different because in that movie, it was some dude taking it to a relative's house, and this time it's being taken to an orphanage. So I honestly don't see the similarities here. So yeah, coming through, the witch winds up dropping this kid off at like the orphanage doorstep. And Hal, could you take that from here? Could you take the reins as we go through this masterpiece? What happens next?
Yeah. So Ginger Lady comes up to the doorstep and she has this bundle of joy and she pulls off this cover and you see it's little Earwig. She's got the little earwigs even then. She's like, oh, here you go, Earwig. I'm going to call you Earwig and I'm going to set you down on the doorstep and I'm going to leave you here because they have the best shepherd's pie in the world. You're going to be a powerful witch. You're mommy's special girl. And I'm going to be back in a decade. Have fun.
Kid, why do you need a mom? This place is all the pie you could need. What else is a mom for?
The best
Stupid
shepherd's
baby?
pie. And I'm like, well, sign me the fuck up. I would love to be in this orphanage. I don't need my parents when I have shepherd's pie. And so she like drops the baby, gets on her motorbike and rides away. She gives us the impression at some point that there are these witches that are chasing her, that there are like the Death Eaters are hot on her tail, and you think, oh, it's probably the evil car. Probably the evil car that tried to get her. Those are the mean witches that tried to get her. And you're like, okay, this seems viable. She's dropping her baby off, keeping her safe, going off. And if
but
you
in
think
another
that,
brilliant subversion, like you're probably thinking, as maybe like an idiot member of the proletariat, just a kind of hunkering mass of just like, ooh, let me anticipate the plot. You'd probably think that all the rules of storytelling would tell you, oh man, we're going to meet these cool 12 witches and there's going to be some battle and there's going to be some like plot progression and like an earned outcome and Earwig's going to play a part in this. No, you idiot.
Fuck you.
Because this is new storytelling. This is new storytelling where you take that rules of writing and building a character arc and you put it away. You throw that in a volcano, man. This is new school, baby. This is innovative.
When you really think about it, that's so bohemian to just like kind of toss the rules away just to allow yourself to go with the flow and not really let the story go anywhere.
It's true, and it's very bohemian. It's this is so. It's basically like if Rent wasn't a musical and the plot was like 10% different. It's just everyone freewheeling, having an awesome life.
Yeah.
So tell us about the freewheeling bohemian life that Earwig experiences at the orphanage, because it's pretty fucking good, right?
Yeah. Well, first they change her name.
Bad for her.
First they do change her name.
They change her name from Earwig to Erica.
They're like, hey, it says her name is Earwig.
Nah.
That name's bad.
Veto power over the kid's
let's
name.
Let's call her Erica. I think that's a better name. Like you would when you were adopting a cat from a shelter. So now her name is Erica, and she just kind of lives her life as a queen. She is living her life as this little troublemaker in this orphanage. What is the name of the kid that constantly follows her around?
Well, they all of a sudden fast forward to,
Custard.
guess, she's
Custard,
supposed to be
yes.
7?
Yeah, she's like around 7 years old
8?
ish. She's got great diction. She's got a great vocabulary. And the way that her face is animated is a nightmare. It is a nightmare.
No, actually, you were correct earlier when you said animated. Because they actually no, you're right, because I looked into it. They didn't have the budget for animation, so they had to go with animation. So they had to go with animation, which again, it's like you have a low budget and you don't have enough time to correctly animate everything. Just fucking animate it. You know what I mean? Do it in a new. Just animate.
So essentially, Julia, like what do we have when we're looking at her? Like who rules the orphanage?
Oh, she definitely does.
Right,
for sure.
She absolutely rules it.
And she has a pretty great relationship with the woman who owns the orphanage. But for a second there, we weren't sure if she actually had a relationship with her or if she was being deceivious and malicious towards her. And if her intentions were pure.
Deceptive.
Yeah. Wait, what did I say?
Deceivious. I love that. Fuck yeah.
Hey, man,
You have to cancel
now
that
hang on. No, hang on. It's okay. We have a limited time here. There's only so much time we have to record. If you need to combine words to shorten things and to quicken things up, that's
you're so
perfectly
right.
valid.
You're so right. And Julia was also right, because again, they can't afford good writers to make someone deceptive and mischievous.
You have to make them
You fucking
deceivious.
kidding me? You gotta make them dismevious. You gotta fucking get it in there. Peanut butter and jelly time, baby.
Okay, so we have this idea that Earwig Erica is in charge of the orphanage. She's a spoiled little brat, and I don't know, Pax, did you have any indication that, like, oh, this is a character I'm gonna like when you first meet Earwig, or was it more like, oh, this kid sucks?
I definitely did, because Earwig understands the basic arts of manipulation. And as someone who spends all my time listening to, pickup artist CDs about how to nag women and destroy and gaslight people, not like I'm doing that in this episode.
As a Sigma male.
As a Sigma male. Fuck, as a Decepticon male. But yeah, as the Liger male, I definitely understand how to do this. And so I did like how I like the visual storytelling of how her face would be extremely sweet and her voice would be very sweet, and then would completely drop and change, and you would see a completely different side, and she'd get all like witchy eyed and looking crazy. Mm-hmm. So I thought that was well done, and it made it very clear that this is a queen of deception. This is a Liger lady. You know what I mean? This is a Sigma Alpha Omicron Alpha Delta Charlie woman. You know what I mean?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And so everything is going hunky dory for Erica Earwig, Decepta Earwig, and until the fateful day when the matron's like, hey, someone showed up to adopt a kid, Earwig. Do you want to be adopted today? And she said, no, but I have to see them anyway. And Julia, when these two individuals come into the orphanage, what is the overall vibe you get from these two people?
Okay, so it is this. Les Mis, the two people that own the bar, that's them.
The Thenardiers?
Yeah, that's them. Is
That's
that not
very
them?
accurate.
That is very good.
Yeah, that's them. The really tall guy walks straight through the door. He doesn't have to open it. And the woman.
And when you say walks through the door, do you mean like? Can you like describe that for us, like visually?
Right. So the door was closed.
Yes.
And he walked through the closed door.
Ah, okay.
Well,
see,
they only made that character a thing because they couldn't afford animating a door opening. Actually, they couldn't afford to animate extra doors.
Right.
So.
But nobody else noticed besides Earwig.
Right, and just to be clear, we don't mean that he walked through the door so that like the wall just like the Kool-Aid Man. He didn't come through. No, he phased through it like a phantom. Yeah. like just to be clear.
Totally.
Yeah.
Oh, and how Earwig's like deception, because we were saying that Earwig is very mischievous with her method of communication, and the form that takes is like around her caretakers. She'll be like, oh, my sweet caretakers, I love you very much. I dream of the day that I'll one day be hired by... Or not hired, you don't hire a kid. I dream of the one day I'll be adopted by a nice family, and I love you so much, and it's been so valuable being with you. And then every time an adult comes in, and they nail the vibe of, like, adults looking at these kids as if they're, like, literal, like, puppies and cats in an animal shelter, being like, oh, which one should I take? She, like... And now that we have this visual element, I can do that. She's just, like, knots up her eyes.
Oh, that's
and, like,
perfect.
And she screws up her face so that she's just like like looking like this little goblin girl, so that all the adults who see her but the caretakers don't see her are like, man, should we go with Custard, the cool blonde kid who's nice, or should we go with this girl from The Exorcist? I don't know. And so it's a pretty good grift that she's running. Again, hustle. We love Earwig. Brilliant character. So but these two weirdos come in, and what happens?
So these two weirdos come in, and so the tall guy has like really long pointed ears. He looks like an elf. And I'm thinking, oh, this guy's an elf. He's definitely an elf, I guess.
I think you actually said that.
I was like, he's an elf.
No, you said he was a vampire.
Yeah, or something. I thought he was like a vampire or an elf or something like that. And meanwhile, the woman comes in, I'm like, well, she's a witch, because she has the same kind of long textured hair that the mommy had in the beginning, except it's blue. And so I'm like, oh, okay, here's the witch. Now we got a little.
And when you say the
plot
same, we
progression.
should make it clear. Literally, the models are identical. They're
yes.
completely the same, but one is blue.
Yes,
and so
and this woman, is substantially more stout. Has a lot more girth to her, and she looks mean. She looks like a mean lady.
Okay, so now thick bitches is mean and bad, and you hate plus
this
size
thick
people.
bitch is mean.
Is what you're going for? And they're all witches, is what you're saying? Like,
It is 2021. I should probably check
getting
myself.
a little hateful in the Zoom today. So anyway, this woman's name, immediately they pick out Earwig, probably because the big tall dude is like, all right, well, let's take the ugliest, saddest looking kid and abuse them as much as we possibly can. and it works. And so they just kind of pluck Earwig out. Go ahead.
Here's the other thing. Here's something that I had to say out loud as we're sitting there watching. Julie and I are sitting and watching this on the couch, and they're looking like the man looks at Earwig once as the matron is like, oh, and here's Custard. He likes pizza, riding a bike, and hanging out with his friend. And oh, this is Erica. Do you like her? And he looks down at her and he's like, this one'll do. Says nothing. Face does not change. Woman just looks down at her like, this one.
And there's
the matron's
still
like,
3 left.
Right, and the matron's like, okay. That's it. No background check. There's nothing like, hey, look at this 8-foot tall man. That like these people. There's like no. Oh, hey, where do you live? Oh, what are your interests? Have you ever had children before? Nothing. Just like, all right, Eric. Well, you're going home with this tall, scary man and his angry, not Paula Abdul. Rosie O'Donnell looking wife.
Like Donald Trump now. You're bringing this energy? Seriously?
No, Rosie O'Donnell is what I said.
No, but Donald Trump hates Rosie O'Donnell. That's what I'm saying.
Does he?
Yeah,
You're basically the DJT
You
of
are
Brotakus
Donald
now.
Trump.
Fat shaming Baba
He hates
Yaga.
Rosie O'Donnell.
Shitting on
Hates
Rosie
her.
O'Donnell. Being wrong
No
about
fucking
Earwig
way.
being good. Mm-hmm. No, that's his whole thing.
calls
He's
her a
like,
fat witch.
no talent, Rosie. Very,
No
very
way.
sad. Yep.
They said she's very unattractive.
No, he's got like 1,000 tweets about her. He's just like, little piggy Rosie, very wrong about me on The View, very low class Rosie.
I can't check his Twitter anymore
things.
because he's
It
suspended.
doesn't exist.
Anyway.
Ooh. Okay, pour one out for OG Brotaku's mega fan Donald J. Trump. Peace be with you, man. Miss your Twitter, miss your posting. Sorry, bro.
Oh my God.
Sorry we had to kick you off the show. It's just the vibes were not getting good. We
Cursed vibes.
very cursed vibes, dude. You didn't stay on topic at all. I didn't stay on topic. Just wanted to rant about how Greta Thunberg should be thrown into a volcano. So it's really not the type of stuff we're looking for on our anime podcast. Anyway, you're talking about the easy process that they had just picking a kid.
Just plucking this child out of the orphanage, taking her home.
Yeah.
And they do. They just take her home and then they toss her in a room and they're like, here's your room where you're going to be working in the next 2 hours. Have fun. And that's it. And Pax, what does this house look like to you?
It's just like a cool house. I don't know. It's like a house on the countryside. But here's the thing. As we've recapped this plot, I think we could recap like literally the rest of the entire story in like 3 sentences. Like it's
Probably,
so,
yeah.
It's so cool how the story is less about what happens and more about what doesn't happen or what could have happened in a cooler, better movie. But so it's just a house. I don't know though. The whole thing looks like it was modeled in like Gary's Mod. It's like not a super. It's like I'm playing a game from like Call of Duty 2, and straight up like some of the brick textures look like they were ripped from Skyrim. Nobody has any
yeah, that was the other
all the
thing.
fabrics, they don't have any texture on them. No one's skin has any hair. Everything is just so smooth. The cat.
Yeah, they look like they're made of rubber.
Yeah, they do.
They look like they're made of rubber or silicone. Except for even the hair looks like it's made like it's been sculpted. But there are a couple select things that are like interactable, so you can always tell, say like in old 60s cartoons, like, oh, you know, Scooby and the gang are searching the hallways and there's like a bunch of bookcases. There's a secret entrance around here somewhere. I wonder which book opens a secret bookcase. And it's probably the one that's brighter than all of the others and has texture lines around it. That is how this movie is animated, in that like the rest of the house looks like shit, looks like it doesn't exist, like you couldn't even touch it, but like the witch's hat, when Earwig is looking for it later in the film, looks incredible. You can see like the fibers on it from like 10 feet away, and it's just like there's such an inconsistency with how things are textured and animated, and just boy.
Yeah, so Julia, what was it like for you seeing the visual stylings of the best Ghibli film and the first 3D Ghibli film? Like, because as someone who probably saw animated movies from like 2003, these styles should have been pretty familiar to you. But I'm curious, like, how you would describe all this stuff.
So it was less for me, it was less about the animation that was frustrating to me, and more about the fact that I didn't get a sense of the world. Like, there was no fantastical world that was created, as well as like just these characters with incredible moral compasses that you really root for and that you have like these emotional responses to. I just like didn't get any of that. So I was like less focused on the animation. I didn't even pay attention to it really because of how frustrated I was by the lack of plot.
Was it a lack of plot, or was it it's like jazz. It's the plot that isn't there that you really got to listen to. You know what I mean? Like
the lines, right? And that's what I want to do when I'm watching a movie.
Yeah. And so the rest of the plot kind of consists of Earwig for 45 minutes being told to go pick grass and raspberries from the porch, listening to like the vinyl CD and like a cassette that was like the one belonging her mother left to her. She eventually talks to the cat. They spent about like 4 hours.
Night. Yeah.
Huh? Well, a night, yeah, but I was going to say it feels like 4 hours, which is cool. It's like, it brings you back to being a kid when every minute of this film feels like an hour of real time, where it's like your life is being stretched as you're entering the horizon of a black hole. You're being stretched across time space. That's what watching every minute of this movie is like.
Yeah.
Which, if you like Interstellar, like, I don't see why that's an issue, because it's basically the same thing. Jesus Christ, sorry. Anyway. She makes spells with the cat. She gets yelled at or talks, makes breakfast like four separate times.
Why does she? What spell does she make with the cat, and why?
Oh God, I don't like that you're pointing this out. This might be a little flaw in the movie that they spent so much time on this. The spell they make is the anti-spell.
It's the you can't touch me spell. It's the fuck you, I'm invulnerable spell. It would be like me turning on God mode in a game of Call of Duty. And what it is she makes this potion using the textbook that Bella Yaga left laying about in the workshop. And she's like, the cat's like, oh no, the witch keeps threatening to give us worms. And she says, I'll give you worms, which to me sounds like something you would take your cat to the vet for. Like, and the cat's terrified of this spell. She's like, she's done this to me multiple times and I'm not about to do it again.
And it's cool that you literally never see what is even meant by that. It's cool.
You do. At the very end, almost. You kind of do. But like,
But you don't.
you don't. She basically, the witch is like, hey, you better pick these raspberries for me or I'm going to give you a parasite. That is her threat throughout the entire film. Like, you better work hard or I'm going to give you tapeworms.
Yeah, no wonder she wasn't really scared.
Right, she was like, that's... okay.
Well, it would have been. You got to understand, this is a all ages movie, right? An all ages movie, and that includes older people, right? They are aged, perhaps more than any of us even are all ages because they've experienced more ages than we have.
True.
And so if you have too much excitement in a movie, like it's cool that instead of like experiencing all these different spells and seeing them cast and seeing, Earwig getting turned into different things or being bullied by Baba Yaga or Bella Yaga.
I think Baba Yaga's John Wick.
Right, exactly. You see, all these great references.
It works.
But it's cool that instead of getting to see any of that, immediately she does the thing that like I used to do when I was 8 and playing a game where I'd be like, shield, you can't touch me, shield, your superpower doesn't work, shield, get fucked, shield. That they basically do that with magic. And that there's only one opportunity for that to even work. Because if it was too exciting, my point being, some of those people of all ages might have a heart attack and die. With COVID going on, there might be comorbidities. You don't want to give anybody heart palpitations by being excited too much at a nice family-friendly movie.
True.
Gotta keep it at a simmer. Gotta keep it down
They were
low.
so considerate about that.
Right, but threat of intestinal parasite, that is something that's pretty low-key, something approachable for all ages, and something that I think we've all had a little bit of experience with.
For sure. I've filled with worms. I'm like Oogie Boogie from Nightmare Before Christmas. I'm like a hacky sack full of tapeworms. But it's because I love Western New York sushi. Pulled out of Lake Erie, baby.
Ooh, Jim.
We're just jazzing. So when she finally does get worms, can you describe the amazing visual effect of what happens with worms?
So essentially what happens is... the girl just messes with her all the time. The girl finally is like, oh, I'm going to mess with the witch and get my revenge. She does through something that really doesn't matter. And she's already used this potion that is supposed to make you invincible against all magic. And so the witch is like, that's it. You're getting worms. That's it. I'm doing it. And you're like, oh, I'm doing the worms. And you're like, okay, here it comes. And she's in the bedroom, and suddenly she looks up, and storm clouds start swirling above her head. And I'm like, oh, she's about to get fucking smited. She's about to get smoked by this woman. And you see like a blue vortex open up as like an eldritch god is about to like reach his hand down and like pull on her pigtails or some shit. And instead, what you get is a pile of blue and purple gummy worms. It's on the ground and a mess, and they just lay there. And they look at it. They're like, it worked. We're invulnerable to all magic.
And wait, I'm sorry. When they actually cast the anti-magic spell, you remember, so they're flipping through the book and you see the titles of these like, and they all seem like cool titles. There's like making your next door neighbor die, giving your husband carbon monoxide poisoning so you could get railed guilt-free by your tennis coach. They're all like really specific, like, how to love
how
potion.
To win first place in a dog contest.
Yes.
That is in a dog beauty contest. That is one of the spells that she mentions. And I'm like, oh, okay. So she's a medicine woman for white suburban moms.
But you got to admit, a legitimately funny moment is the cat that can talk is guiding Earwig through the spell, and the cat is like reciting the spell, and at one point the cat is going like labby dabby shlibabba dabba da, and Earwig goes like yabby dabby shlidabi dabby da, and at one point the cat trips up, and the cat goes like Schlimabo, meow, schlam. And Earwig repeats it verbatim and adds the meow. And afterwards, I thought there were going to be repercussions because the cat goes, because the cat literally goes, yeah, Earwig, I actually got confused and forgot halfway through, and I started cursing, and then I said meow, and you said meow, so I don't know what that's going to do, but it's probably going to be fine. And you'd think, well, of course,
That's
there's
definitely
Chekhov's
not
gun
gonna be
right there,
fine.
baby. Chekhov's gun mounted on the wall, going to be used and shot. Keeping that for later. What's going to go wrong with the spell?
Nothing.
Nothing.
Subverting your expectations, like all good art.
Yep.
Subverting it.
Yep.
Joke's on you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. I think one thing that I really loved about this film was the expectation for action, but never getting it. It would be like if like in Star Wars Revenge of the Sith, we were watching Palpatine slowly groom Anakin Skywalker to become Darth Vader, and instead at the end Anakin went, yeah, he's the Sith Lord, you should arrest him. And then he goes to jail, and that's it, and that's the end of the movie. And like that, the action that you're expecting is in the Mandrake, which is this tall, gaunt figure, rarely speaks. He's clearly got some pretty severe anger issues that he internalizes. He is very cool looking.
Julia, can we get like a confirmation, like with the veins and the like thunderbolt fireworks eyes, like?
Yeah, and the anger issues. Yeah.
Yeah, but like, what happens when he gets angry?
His eyes like freaking come out of his head, and his ears get really big, and he spouts fire and goes nuts.
Right. So you get this kind of like this hint of like, ooh, is he gonna lose it this time? No, he's cool. He's cool. It's like, oh, maybe not. Maybe this is the thing. And then he's like, nah, he's good. And when the pot finally boils over, it happens when the witch tries to drop the worms on her head, and she's like, magic spell, fuck you. And what she does is she had made a hole in the wall in a previous scene that leads to the Mandrake's room, and she lets the worms crawl through the hole in the wall. All of them. Every single one. And at the end, you hear the Mandrake freak the fuck out, and you're like, uh-oh, the worms went up his butthole, that's it. And now he's mad. And
maybe that's what it is.
I think that's what it is.
Like, what is worm?
Butt. And I think
that totally makes sense.
Because here's the thing: is the witch was like very clear, like this is not something you want, and I will do this, and it will be uncomfortable. And then you watch it happen. You're like, it wasn't that bad. And then the Mandrake starts freaking the fuck out on the other side of the wall, and you're like, yep, they definitely went up his butt.
Definitely went up his butt.
That
like
definitely
evil
never
butt.
crossed my mind, but I'm glad you thought about
They
it.
definitely went up his butt. All 39 of them. And so he eventually comes through the wall, and he's got like scales, and he's like got fangs. He's got like the sharp ear. His ears are sharp, and he's got like a fucking tail now. I'm like, oh, he's not a demon, vampire, elf man. He's a dragon. But they never say that he's a dragon.
This was like the worst part of the movie because it looked so visually impressive and it was like legitimately stunning in a way where I'm like, if I wanted to see something that actually looked really cool, I would just go watch like the Lord of the Rings movies.
Right,
like,
I would watch
why
like
is
The
this
Desolation
here?
of Smaug.
Why does this look so cool? And why does this like make me excited? It's like,
also, I was like, that witch is dead, bro. She's done. She's toast. Because the witch is in there like, what'd you do with the worms? She's like, oh, I put them in the Mandrake's room. I think they're in his butt now. And he comes to her and he's like, there are worms in my butt. And he's like very, very mad. And he freaks the fuck out. And
Your
Rick's just
viewers
like,
need to know that is not
that
what
is
happened.
exactly what happened.
They did
And
not
You see
say
him go
anything
in.
about
You see him
the
go
plot.
in.
see them go up there.
it's like James the Giant
one
Peach
at
and
a
he's the
time,
hole in
and
the
he's
peach.
forced. He has to let it happen. That's the curse. And
true.
And he's freaking the fuck out. He's all like 8 feet tall, big old tail, and breathing fire. And you're like, oh, he's gonna kill that witch.
And it looks amazing.
It looked incredible. And then Earwig is like, okay, have fun. And she leaves. And then everything's fine. He comes in and he's like, hey, so sorry I had to see that. She's not gonna do that to you again. And in the meantime, don't bother me again.
Yeah, and they start to cultivate, like, throughout the movie, like, some kind
sort
of
of
a relationship, but they never really expand on it. And I kind of hoped that he would be kind of a father figure towards her or something like that relationship would grow, but it just never
Well,
did.
hang on. That is our fault. That is our fault. Because you and I specifically come from the perspective of two people that live together and love each other, and we want that sort of relationship for other people. We want to ship people. And it's very clear at some point at the end of the movie that Mr. Mandrake and Earwig's mom may or may not have had some kind of relationship, and so we think like, perhaps the Mandrake is her dad. But that's our fault.
Okay.
That is our prejudice, and we can't come at it from that angle.
So, Julia, we haven't touched on this at all. Give us the band B plot. Give us the B plot of what's going on.
I was just thinking about that. We never touched on that.
Yeah.
So you find out that actually Earwax's mom was in a band with her new parents. And that the three of them were actually in a band together.
What is the band called, though?
Earwig. So she named her daughter after her band.
After leaving the band.
Right.
Yeah. Well, as is normal. It's what you got to do. It's like Paul Simon's daughter, Simon and Garfunkel.
Right. Right. So she ends up leaving the band, but you never really find out why, what fight they got into, what it was that created this rift within their relationship. But you do know that Earwig's mother has a relationship with the man.
Drake.
Which leads you to believe... which leads you to believe that he could possibly be the father.
Yeah, because there's this. Well, I don't. No, there's just like weird vibes all in all, like with what's going on, because it totally seems like they are a roaming poly triad, like just
yes.
Because Earwig's mom and Bella Yaga, who Bella Yaga played drums, and there's a cool moment in here with Bella Yaga drums. It's kind of cool. And Earwig's mom is Casey Musgraves in the English version, and she sings and voices it. And you know who Mandrake looks like? He looks like Howard Stern if he was drawn by a weeb, with the big blue hair. And as they're driving along in look like
the California coast.
Yeah.
Over the California coast. And Earwax's mom is leaning over, about to just plant some thick slabs of tongue on Mandrake. And then Bella Yaga is turning, and she looks Earwax's mom looks at Bella Yaga, and they share a little glance too. And it's total vibes.
Yeah, so she finds their old record. And just happens to start listening to the record of the band that her mother was once in.
And that's it.
Which is great. They have one song. One song
called...
They were a one-hit wonder.
Do Not Disturb Me was the name of the album.
Yep.
Man.
And so right after... You would think that you would see Earwig actually manipulating these people or growing on them, but she doesn't seem to grow on Bella Yaga at all. She doesn't really seem to grow on the Mandrake at all over time. She only tries one prank on Bella Yaga ever. It doesn't ever escalate from anything. But escalation, if I wanted escalation, I'd walk up a Stairmaster, baby. Just give me that escalator. Bring me right to the point, dog. Because right after there's the discovery that Earwig, you're that girl named Earwig from our band, Earwig, who, the kid that our ex-witch friend dropped off at the orphanage, who was also named Earwig. That's you. You're the same Earwig. It's just pants on head. The worst
Wait,
thing
do they
I've
realize
seen.
that?
They never mention it.
Right, they don't.
Dog,
they never mention
so
it.
Right.
They're
right.
just kind of
they never touch on that.
Right. Literally what happens is there's this explosion from the Mandrake. There's this realization that, they were all in a band at one point, and the Mandrake is like, all right, well, get the fuck out of here, kid. Go back to your room.
You're right, because them realizing that would have made the bond better.
Right, but all of a sudden everything just becomes kind of hunky-dory.
Well, the thing is Earwig's like, hey, you're a writer, right? And the Mandrake is like, yeah. And she's like, well, I read some of your work. Could I read more?
Oh, he's a writer. That's right.
He's a writer. And he's just like, yeah, okay. And then the next scene, boom. Her room is all done up. She's got demons serving her hand and foot. She doesn't necessarily work for the witch anymore. The Mandrake comes in and is just like, do you want some breakfast? And she's like, yeah, I'd like this, this, and this. Servant, thank you, chop chop. And he's like, yo, okay. And then he leaves, and she's just like at the beginning of the movie, everyone does what I want, and I want it, and I'm going to get it, and because I'm Earwig, and that's how I live. And that's it.
There's no growth. There's no point A to point B.
Nope.
None. No character arc.
And it doesn't even make sense because all she did was compliment the dude's writing
That was it.
once, and then it flashed 6 months later, and she's also getting along with Bella Yaga really, really well after completely fucking her over and sicking like the king of flame demons on her. You know what I mean? You could rag on me for trying to say skipping, slip-sclopping.
It's just, and I think the very end is, because here's the thing. While Drew and I are watching it, I'm like pausing it periodically, and I'm looking like, how much time is left?
We kept doing it. We were like, what?
I'm like, this movie's already half over?
Like, where's this going?
I'm like, nothing has happened. And you're telling me that this movie's half done. And then we're like, okay, there's 15 minutes left.
What are they going to do in 15 minutes?
What is about to happen? Something's about to happen. Nope. Nothing happened.
It was so unsatisfying.
But hey, the mom does come back. The mom does come back and find her at the very end, right before the credits. Why?
They never talk. She just knocks on the door.
You don't. Yeah, she just knocks on the door. You don't even get the satisfaction of her reuniting with her daughter.
Nah.
You don't even know if that happens.
Nope.
We actually don't even know if she is her daughter. Maybe it is just another kid named Earwig who was really into the band Earwig.
That's true.
Yeah.
Maybe what caused the rift is that this woman stole a child.
Maybe.
From another orphanage.
From a different, yeah. That was like her, maybe that was like her kink.
Right.
She was like traveling around stealing children from orphanages and then depositing them at other orphanages. This is gonna mess up their systems. This is gonna mess up their papers. Like that's what she does.
The kinky traveling band triad keeps stealing children and replacing them at different orphanages. We need to catch these sex freaks and these sex pests before they replace more children in separate orphanages. It's like and you see, this is the cool stuff that happens. If it had a more concrete plot, would we be thinking of this cool stuff? We would not.
No, we wouldn't.
We'd be too busy talking about how good a movie it is by your Western imperialist standards. Swine.
And also the I don't know if you got to see the Japanese version, but we watched the English version, and Hal was very distracted by the fact that it didn't match up with the mouth movement.
Let me be real with you for a second. Starting this movie in English, I could not bear it after 30 seconds.
Yeah. I was really, really trying.
Yeah.
I actually looked to see if there was like a Japanese audio, and there was no Japanese audio available on HBO Max. And so
mine was. I was able to switch it like that.
No, I looked it up, and all it showed me was different subtitles. It didn't give me another.
I think you needed to like back out and like change it on the previous screen. Because here's the thing.
You're telling me we could have watched that in Japanese the whole time?
That would have made it so much better. That would have made up for all of it.
And I wish I'd watched more of it in English, because that would have made it more of a surrealist horror experiment. Like I was looking into the mind of Werner Herzog. Because I can't believe you're not being more mean to Earwig than you are, because that was literally the worst dubbing I have seen in my life.
Ever.
Horrid. I was like, this is a Studio Ghibli film, right? This is, in fact, a Studio Ghibli film.
Yeah, I kept thinking that too.
So explain what you mean by like the mouth movements matching up, in case it's not like clear.
So typically, when an animation company tries to dub over Japanese audio, oftentimes what they do is they alter the English dialogue to match what the Japanese animation is doing. So the translation may not be exactly the same. They might be different. Like there might be weird pauses. Like in Dragon Ball, there are a lot of weird pauses where you're like, okay, they definitely changed the audio to make it match up with the animation. They definitely changed the lines, but that's okay. They made it work. Goro Miyazaki,
they threw that out the window.
And they said, okay, what if we just made it sound like you were watching a movie in one room while other people were saying were like speaking the text from an entirely different film from another room.
Yeah.
So it literally felt like that was being pumped. I was like, there's no way these are the correct subtitles, or maybe the audio is just from a different film lined up on here. Like it was so distracting that I had to keep stopping the film and saying, like, please tell me we can watch this in Japanese, like for the love of fuck. Ugh.
Exactly. Well, so I literally couldn't imagine watching the whole thing in English, because I can't describe just how excruciating it is to watch the dub job. Like it's
painful.
It's really, really painful. So I'm glad I watched it in Japanese. So I saw it as it was intended. So I could really focus on all the plot defects and interesting little choices that were made. It was really the connoisseur's way to do it. So
Unfortunately for me, I'm a little pain pig, so it really doesn't matter about how much pain I endure because it only makes me stronger. That's all it does. And so I'm really glad that we were able to watch that together because it would essentially be like if we were to hold hands and walk through a bed of burning coals barefoot. We were able to do it together, and the scars that we will hold for the rest of our lives will only be a mark of our eternal love.
You see, this movie's great. It brought you all together.
It's a unifier.
I'm sorry you can't be grateful for getting more united with your partner over a great piece of art. It's kind of hard for you. I am curious, Julia, rating this out of a 10, what would you give this out of 10? The English version of Earwig.
I would give it a 1.3.
Okay.
And I think that would be generous. Like, I think that's me sprinkling in some kindness in there. Like, the 0.3 is nice.
Hal?
I'm going to be honest. I would actually give it like... a 2.5. Because to give it anything under a 2 to me would be something that would be like an AMV on YouTube. That is what it would be like for me.
I would way rather watch old My Chemical Romance AMVs than watch Earwig again.
Yeah, or like I guess like a 2.5 because it was a movie and it was animated.
It was animated.
It was animated, and
yeah. So
it didn't make me throw up.
What would you give it?
I'd give it like a 3 in Japanese. In Japanese, it was a lot more bearable, but I could only imagine giving it a 1 in English. Every time I changed back to it, I couldn't. And I'm considering 5 as like an average thing I feel indifferent about, and 0 being like the lower end. So I think that like 6 through 10 would be positive, and 4 through 0 would be like poopy doo doo.
Yeah.
So what was good in this movie? Was there anything good? What are your highlights?
Yeah, my highlight is this, the cat. I really enjoyed the cat. I usually don't like cats. I have a theory that cats are reincarnated schizophrenics, but I really enjoyed this cat.
Whoa. Back up. You don't get to drop that without explaining you have a theory. What is your theory behind that?
My theory is exactly that. It's that cats are reincarnated schizophrenics.
How did you come to this theory? How did you arrive at this?
It just came to me. I was given it from a higher power.
That sounds like something a schizophrenic would say.
I meant to share it with the world. A little voice came into my ear and told me the truth of the world.
Yeah.
And that was it.
Cats are the schizophrenics. But
anyway,
Julia.
I usually don't like cats, and I really enjoyed this cat. And that would be my one highlight. And the fact that the protagonist was a woman. But besides that, there was really very little that was redeeming about this film.
Yeah.
It just provoked no emotional response in me at all.
Yeah, usually Miyazaki films, I haven't seen any other Goro Miyazaki films yet, but usually like the Hayao Miyazaki films have really great soundtracks. Usually I'm paying attention to that, and I'm trying to listen for the like recurring themes, because a lot of times they have sort of like an overture where you have recurring themes throughout the film that really, really bring these moments together. And
was there even music in this one?
There was music, and it was kind of it invoked the same feeling in me that like my alarm clock does at 6:30 in the morning. Like that immediate, the shock followed by immediate anger.
There was
That's a great description.
That one piece of music where we thought they were about to bust out into a musical. Yes. There was one moment where the witch was like starting to get to work on like all this stuff, and I expected it to be like poor unfortunate souls, like the Little Mermaid. I was expecting something like that. But it just didn't happen. I was like, there's gotta be a musical number in here. There's gotta be. It's about a band. And like, no.
Yeah. Well, that's very fair. I think some of the slime was nice. Some of the slime animations and
The slime?
water animations looked okay.
true.
So let me give y'all the background behind the production here. So my understanding of this is that this was a collaboration between Studio Ghibli, NHK, and NHK Enterprises, which is the Japanese public broadcasting company, and that the kind of intent behind this, along with like Goro's previous work, was to say, okay, well, 3D is way cheaper than doing a full 2D animation thing. It's why Disney hasn't done it in forever, since I think, what was the last one? Princess and the Frog,
Princess of the Frog. So what we're doing right now is my computer charger came undone and my computer will die without it being plugged into the wall. So we are currently plugging that back in.
You have fun down there, Julia.
Thank you. Okay, we're good. Thank you for doing that. I appreciate
it. Fantastic. Thank you very much for helping Hal out.
Thank you.
So the experiment
Princess
here...
of the Frog, you were saying, right?
Yes, that's the takeaway. Goro's trying to do this 3D stuff, one, because it's insanely cheaper, like way cheaper, especially because there are moments in this that do look like they were animated for Paw Patrol, like some really just like who created this type stuff. But also there is a sense of increasing their workload because Hayao Miyazaki, he's gone into retirement twice and he's come out each time because he's feeling like he kind of needs to work to live. And Goro, it's kind of like, well, who's gonna keep this going on? But similarly, who's gonna pump out some more profitable films? Because if people start watching 3D Ghibli features that are made not with in-house animators. There were some in-house, but most of them were contractors. So this was like some Uber or Lyft stuff where they were hiring outside people to do the heavy lifting here, outside assets, which is why a lot of these assets do not look like they follow any type of style guide, right? Like it looks a lot like it's like, okay, well let's buy this liquid texture from After Effects and this texture from Unreal Engine, and cobble it all together in this kind of macabre, just kind of fucked up
Frankenstein. It's a Frankenstein experiment.
And people love Frankenstein.
It makes me nervous for how this could potentially affect the Studio Ghibli name and perception of this thing.
I actually disagree. I think that this is going to be one that people are just kind of like, they just forget about it. I think this is a very forgettable film.
Yeah, but if you've seen other Studio Ghibli films, you watch this and it's incredibly disappointing and honestly disheartening because so many people are so passionate about all the other incredible Studio Ghibli films that watching something like this makes no sense that it could come out of the same place.
So with that, let's rapid fire. What are the worst things about Earwig? The worst things about Earwig. So just list them off. These things that because I'm not sure if we adequately captured just how bad this film is.
There is no world. There's no concept of a world, of a universe, of a...
We didn't even know where she was from for the first 20 minutes. We had no idea.
There's very little music. There's very little relationships that you actually care about. They don't really form or develop any relationships between characters that you feel invested in.
Right, and they can't develop relationships because none of them have any real personality. None of them have any real character to base off. You have no idea what drives any of these people or who these people are.
Right.
You don't know, so they can't form relationships with each other.
There's very little arc. There's very little arc to these characters. You're not rooting for them. You don't have they don't give you any kind of emotional response.
I straight up didn't like Earwig. I was like, Earwig, you kind of suck. I was like, you're not a good kid.
I liked her better, and I think seeing it in Japanese was definitely just a way better experience. But Julie, you made a really great point that I wanted to bounce off of, which was about the world. I'm not clear what place witches have in this world.
Right.
It's something where it's everyone is ignoring the magic at first, so you're like, does it exist? And then suddenly people are calling up Bella Yaga, being like, yeah, I would like for my wife to love me again. Yeah, Bella, I'm looking to get a dog into a contest. Hey, Bella, I'm looking to bake a pie.
When you've seen something like Spirited Away, that is, the world is so developed and everything is so intricate, it's mind-blowing that this could come out of this same place.
Well, what's funny is that it's so one thing about Spirited Away that and some other Miyazaki films that I think is really commendable is that the worlds are so well developed that they don't need to explain any of it. That
exactly.
You have the feeling that it extends beyond what you're seeing. And in doing so, there's this beauty of like, oh, well, I don't need to see the rest of the world because what I'm seeing is already so rich and in depth that I'm sure the rest of it must be the same way. And Goro Miyazaki kind of was like, okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make a world, not explain it, just like Hayao Miyazaki did, only this one's going to be bad. And so it like makes it so...
But there wasn't even a world.
That's what I'm saying, is like... Hayao Miyazaki never explains his worlds, never explains like what certain things in the worlds are because they don't need them.
And every frame tells a story, exactly.
Right.
This film took the same approach of not telling you about the world while not giving you any context about the world.
Yeah. And so you're left with these confusing things like the Mandrake's writing is being reviewed in the local newspaper. Is it just like local writer, the Mandrake?
Right.
Like released another like fanfic. It's like, well, what is happening here? And here's a weird thing that I'm just hitting on now. Even the magic in this, it fucking sucks. Why would you want to be a witch? There's no cool magic at all. Even though
she has to spend hours to make one little potion.
Well, it seems strictly to be potions.
Yeah,
that's it.
Think of the magic in Ponyo as Ponyo is being driven into like the underwater world, and you get to see the scientist, and it just makes even the sea seem magical. Or in Howl's Moving Castle, the furnace and the roasting plate of eggs, and the fire coming up from underneath, or Kiki's delivery service, just kind of the glory of flying through the sky. Nothing is like that. Because even the whole like tentacle hit reminded me of in Princess Mononoke when like the prince is hit with the gigantic boar tentacle in the beginning.
That shit's wild.
And the fact that it literally, the magic, the first big cool magical thing was Earwig's mom taking off a strand of hair, throwing it, and it literally just looks like it turned into a handful of earthworms.
Right.
Was so uncool. And that's the only like exigent spell that you see cast that the Mandrake doesn't like do by accident. It's like, so good. I love this movie. I love it. I was lying. I actually love it.
Well, what the funny thing was is I looked up a review of the movie, and I looked up like...
Which we should have done before.
Yes, I looked up a quick description of like what the movie is about before you watch it. And it says like, Earwig discovers that she is the daughter of a very powerful witch. And I'm like...
No, she doesn't.
I'm like...
No, she doesn't. No, she doesn't discover that.
She
and
does
if
not
she
discover
does,
that.
they didn't tell us that.
Second, what, the witch can summon earthworms? Like, that is like the extent of her power. Like you don't see Gandalf doing that shit. You don't see like Harry Potter being like, you better stay back, Voldemort, or I'll give you worms. And like it's just so
anticlimactic.
Yeah. So, like the movie, it literally is 10 minutes of Earwig being in the orphanage.
Yep.
And that's okay because there are other characters. It's like it's better than the rest. And followed by an hour and 6 minutes of Earwig, go pick raspberries. Earwig, go pick nettles.
Like opening doors and walking into rooms that like...
It's like being stuck in the tutorial mission of a game for the entire game.
Yes, and it's endless. And then there's 4 minutes of Earwig hanging out with a completely new and unearned relationship with the people. It was like, I feel like we are doctors now. Okay, and Earwig, the bloated corpse of Earwig, the movie, not the child, has just been pulled up. The ethereal artistic corpse has been pulled out from a local river, and they're saying, Doctor, you need to amputate, reconfigure some stuff. You are the Dr. Frankenstein. You get to remake this. Could this have been made better? Like I was thinking, if Hayao Miyazaki was directing this script, could it have had merit?
Right.
I'm not even sure of that, but like, what could have made this even a 5 out of 10? What would you have done?
I would have kept the name and taken everything else out.
Uh,
I would have kept, seriously, and here's the thing, like, the characters themselves had very interesting appearances. They looked cool, besides the actual style of animation. Like, the character concepts, they look neat. I was like, okay, I dig it. I dig the protag having weird anime hair. Every anime protagonist has weird hair. All of them. But like, I was just, I would keep that. And everything else, I would say, okay, burn that. And we're going to make an entirely new story.
I just want to know how they watched it back and thought, oh yeah, this is good.
Yeah.
They didn't think once, we probably shouldn't produce this one.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is based on a actual children's book by Diana Wynne Jones, who is a UK-based children's book author.
I'd be interested to read that.
Where it almost makes me wonder, is this a really juvenile, or a really young, toddler children's book where they're and then Earwig went out to the countryside and picked up some nettles. And on the next day, the evil Bella Yaga told her to go out to the forest and pick up some blubberries. Is
blubberries.
Some blubberries. Is that it?
Could be.
I don't know. So Julia, I mean, any rehabilitation here? Any cool ideas?
No, see, the thing is that they don't expand on anything enough for me to even have, to get an idea of how things could be different. Because there's such little detail.
Well, that's fair.
I don't know what it could look like.
Yeah.
I just get rid of it.
I mean, Pax, what would you do if you have this homunculus corpse in your hands? What would you do?
I'm just realizing that they found the car with the tentacle evil mouth at the front of it in Bella Yaga's house, which makes no sense because she wasn't involved in that, right?
But she was. Clearly what that tells me is Bella Yaga was chasing her and trying to take her out. Trying to kill her.
Or something, or get her back to stop her from doing something. Okay,
Which by the way, if you're going to pop someone's rear tire on a motorcycle, they're dead. All right,
everybody.
What was the plan? Okay, Doctor.
Let's script Dr. Pax lay it down. The year is 2003.
Okay.
We open on a huge musical montage of Earwig's mother and this great, amazing band. You see young Manticore, you see young Mandrake, you see young Mandark, you see young Bella Yaga. Amazing, huge, soaring scene. There's fireworks in the air. It's awesome. You see some shadowy conversation happening with the mother and Bella Yaga. She gets on her motorbike. She skids off into the distance. She's going. You don't learn about that until the end. As she's going, amazing car chase where she's going in and out. You see, oh my God, it was Bella Yaga from before. You thought that they were friends in the car, and you see that it's her in the car. And she's chasing and she's chasing. She summons worms, all types of magic, until whoosh, Bella Yaga goes off of a cliff. Oh my God, what just happened? Suddenly the mother pulls up to the orphanage. Hectic, help, help. You need to take my child, take my child. You see headlights in the distance. Bella Yaga is back. The child gets dropped off. Boom. As we head into it, orphanage part, the same. We go, Bella Yaga is picking that up. Oh my God, it's like Matilda vibes, where it's like when Madame Trunchbull is, all that stuff. What is happening with Bella Yaga? After you take about 45 minutes away from that story inside the house, 45 minutes away, and you just do a fucking speed run of immediately Earwig just doing pranks on Bella Yaga, trying to learn their heart. There's this huge blow up. And then the last 45 minutes of the movie is explaining, oh, hey, Bella Yaga was really scared because the mother went against these 12 witches and was trying to stop her and bring her back and stop her from doing this thing. Maybe she was trying to give away the daughter because they had this rule that there could only be 12 witches. And if a new witch was born, that witch needed to be killed or something like that. And because of the strict council rules, and Bella Yaga was trying to bring her back, please don't throw away your life like this. They find out that the mother's been kept and has been caught and is in this kind of jail with the 12 witches. They need to break in. The Mandrake is there, Bella Yaga. They practice with all this magic. The cat has a cool thing where it goes up, knocks over potions. They're taking out witches until there's eventually kind of a heart-to-heart. And in Miyazaki style, violence is not the answer. They find a way to resolve it. But that is the type of thing that I think could have made this movie cool, is following any of the natural plot points.
I was much more into listening to you say that than
in the movie, yeah.
Right, is following anything like that. All the natural questions, which are just non-existent, but instead, we have a much better movie. Because I've seen good movies before. If you want to watch a good Miyazaki movie, just watch one of those other ones. But this one is valuable in that it's such a masterclass in what not to do.
Yeah,
you know what
true.
I mean? This is, for real, probably on the same level of bad writing as Suicide Squad. It's really just completely insane that this got produced by the most renowned 2D animation studio in the world. That's been Studio Ghibli for decades. And
that's
for their
disappointing.
first 3D, this was what they made.
It almost seems intentional.
A little bit. It's almost like
I hope it was.
it's almost like Hayao Miyazaki hates his son and is just not telling him when he
it's
does
just
stuff like this.
Have fun.
Oh
fly,
yeah, this is. He
fly,
probably
little
told
bird.
him this was great.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you will never surpass me, young Padawan. You will continue to make the most embarrassing things that shame our family's name. He won the first Japanese version of the Golden Raspberries.
Wow.
Yeah, for his Tales from Earthsea thing. So it's kind of where we go. So would we recommend Earwig and the Witch to anybody, gang?
3, 2, 1. No.
No. I'm dropping the bid. Don't watch this movie. Anything else with your life. If you do, get your honey, get your hot significant other like Hal and Julia have done, and watch it and roast it with them. Now, here's the thing. Would you recommend they roast it in English still, or was it too painful to even do that?
I haven't seen the Japanese, so I can't really say. All I can say is if you're
easily irritated, don't even try.
Well, if you enjoy like squeezing lemon juice in your eyes, then I would definitely recommend watching it in English. If that's like the kind of level of pain that you enjoy experiencing,
If you like paper cuts,
like in between the webbings of your fingers, yes.
ooh, yep. There you go.
So shout to all our Brotakus pain pigs out there. Donald, if you're still listening, I know you were getting off from losing that election, man. I know you're all about that. We're doing the callback. Earwig is for you. Watch it in English. You'll love it, buddy. It's got your favorite actress, Rosie O'Donnell, in it. It'll be amazing. My God. Last thing I want to ask. The actual performances, like the actual voices in English, were they okay? Like
The Mandrake was good. No, that was it.
Okay.
He didn't say much. It was actually better when they didn't speak.
I could totally see that. It was very rough.
It was better when they didn't speak. Like, even the main character, I was like...
Yeah. So, is this the worst anime thing we've ever seen? Because it might be the worst for me.
This is the worst animated film ever that I've ever seen. And I've seen Alpha and Omega 5 times because my little sister loved it as a little kid. I would rather watch Alpha and Omega than watch Earwig and the Witch.
I'd rather watch Alvin and the Chipmunks than watch this shit again. This is terrible. This is legitimately terrible. So that said, anything else we wanted to kind of bring up as we have wrapped this roast of Earwig?
No, just take care of yourself. Don't watch this film. Be kind to yourself.
Literally anything else. But that said, Julia, thank you so much for coming on. It's such a pleasure to have you.
It's such a joy to have
guys.
you on.
And thank you for bringing intelligent direction to this while we were busy talking about the worms crawling inside the demon's ass. Like, this was so necessary because without you here, this would have devolved. Like, we would have gotten so far off, we would not have stayed on topic. So thank you so much, Julia,
I can't
for being
keep up
here.
with you guys. You're too much.
You have a good time on Brotakus, Julia?
I had a great time.
Yeah.
We had a great time having you. All right. We ready for the outro? The outro?
Yes.
Man, this movie has made me a weaker, dumber person. And so, with all that, thank you so much for listening. If you like what you heard, give us a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts or review us on your favorite podcasting app. It really does make a difference, and every review counts. We will make sure to give you a shout out on the air to show our appreciation, but more than that, we got this video channel going. You're going to be seeing clips. You're going to be seeing highlights. You're going to be seeing beautiful faces. You're going to be really confused because we're all way hotter than your average anime homies. Wait a second. That's not even true, because these days, everyone who watches anime is hot and cool. Your favorite rappers do it. Your favorite actors do it. Michael B. Jordan can't get enough of it. And
Samuel
that's really
L. Jackson loves it.
Does Samuel L. Jackson watch anime?
Yeah, he does. And hentai.
And that makes sense. I buy that. I buy that. So that said, to all of our hot listeners, thank you so much for watching. Hit us up on YouTube and Facebook as well, because the YouTube's going to be a big part of what we're trying. You're going to get to see my Hedwig cosplay for today. And with that said, all right, I'm Pax.
And I'm Hal.
And we're the Brotakus. See you next week, guys.
Bye, guys.
Bye.